that you can have a quorum. Yeah. Maybe you're just supposed to send somebody with a certain amount of authority, or you're supposed to send somebody with whatever authority you have, so that, you know, you have some settlement authority.
Do they have new information? You just want to specifically talk to her, or just address the council?
Come on in.
I just want to be real quick before she gets.
When she talks about the guidelines and everything, she covers that. I have it here. I'm sorry, I have it
I hope it does. I'm really seriously hoping it does. Trying to count these people for this one item. See how many there is, so I can tell Mr. Allen. And hopefully if it's not you. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
So they probably need to do 3 minutes apiece. Yes, sir. So I'll let them know.
Is this what we're supposed to be doing as of July 1? Are we okay to do that? I didn't know.
We'll call to order the City of Douglasville's legislative work session for today, which is July the 2nd, for the Douglasville City Council. Our invocation will be done by Associate Pastor Brandon Penniman of the Golden Memorial United Methodist Church. And after that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem, Terry Miller. Please stand for the invocation.
Everyone, just bow your heads. Put your mind at a place of peace and love. Father God, we come to you right now, Lord, as a joint body, thankful for an opportunity to have government that helps to lead and guide our community, that helps to structure the way that we operate and the way that we do things. Lord, we thank you right now for good leadership. Lord God, we thank you for good leaders who make sound, wise decisions on behalf of our community. God, we understand that none of this would be possible if it was not for you. So, Lord, we just want to give you all the honor, all the glory, and all the praise, Father God. We thank you, Lord, for all that you continue to do. God, we thank you for how far you've brought Douglas County and Douglasville, Lord God, and we pray that your hand continues to stay on Douglasville to protect us and keep us safe from the plurals of the world, Lord. Lord, we are in need of you, and if we have you, then everything else will be okay. So, Father God, fill us up today with you. Fill all of our leaders up with your spirit, that we may lead with courage and dignity and character. Lord God, we love you, we bless you, and we praise you in the name of the Most High. And all of God's children said, amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge, and we appreciate the invocation and blessings that were given to us in the prayer by Associate Pastor Brandon Penniman. I will go over the announcements and the presentations for the City Council this evening, and before I do that, it looks much different from when we first started COVID-19. Governor Kemp's orders changed July 1st, and so we're allowed to have more people based on the square footage and social distancing and being careful as we can in this health pandemic that we're going through in the country. And so we do have more people that are in the council. And now we're at capacity. So if anyone else comes in, you'll probably have to do it virtually, or there's other places in the facility in the conference center where you can be seated to hear the council meeting and look at us via YouTube. So I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville's legislative work session. I'm Douglasville's Mayor, Rochelle Robinson. Today's meeting is being conducted in whole or in part by teleconference. All of the elected officials and individuals with agenda items are present, and those wishing to comment during public hearing and comments from citizens and delegates will be allowed to via audio on the Zoom software. This meeting of the Douglasville Mayor and Council is being conducted by teleconference consistent with the Official Code of Georgia annotated section 50-14(1)G due to emergency conditions involving public safety in order to mitigate the transmission of coronavirus and to reduce the risk of COVID-19 illness. That code section, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows local governments to meet by teleconference in the event of emergency so long as means are afforded for the public to have simultaneous access to teleconference meetings. For this meeting, we are public, convening partially by Zoom software as shown on the city's website describing how the public may join, which is via YouTube media platform. Applicants and all participants be advised that this meeting will allow for public comments as well. Even if the members of the public do not provide comment, participants are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comments, and listeners are not required to identify themselves. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. This is our work session where agenda items are presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on these items discussed tonight on Monday, July the 6th. If the business that you are here for and you wish to discuss the agenda items, there will be ample time on the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates section with any other matters related to pending or potential city business. So if it's not listed on the agenda item, you do have an opportunity to speak after. There are a few general protocol items I'd like to make you aware of before we start the meeting, and I ask that you will listen closely so there are no misunderstandings on how tonight's meetings will be conducted. I ask that you will keep your comments and presentations on a professional level dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You'll receive a warning from the chair, and if you deviate from this requirement the first time, a second deviation, we will ask that the chair discontinue your opportunity to speak. Only one person speaking at a time, of course. Please do not disrupt the order of the meeting by talking to individuals in the audience. Please direct your comments and concerns to the committee chair. If you have cell phones or electronic device, iPads and such, we ask that you would put those on silent mode or turn those off until the meeting is over so that it will not be disruptive. This is how the meeting will go. The agenda items will be handled as following. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item. Then the person representing that agenda item or applicant will make his or her presentation, and that will be your first time for your only opportunity to present the information. Myself and council members will possibly ask questions of the applicant to seek additional information. After that, the committee chairperson will ask for comments or statements from the audience. There is a maximum time of 20 minutes, and this is a difference from what we've had in the past. And I'll read to you the section in our UDO, section 12.08A4. For each addendum, the proponents of the addendum shall have no less than 10 minutes or presentation of data option of evidence of the public hearing. The proponents of each addendum shall have a collective maximum of 20 minutes for their presentation, and then 20 minutes. So each person has 5 minutes to speak and 20 minutes in totality per side. If you have more than that many speakers, you can divide your time up to 3 minutes per person, but your total time is 20 minutes. Okay. I think that's it. In order for you to speak, the council member, there is a form that you should have filled out and submitted online if you are not in person. When you come to the podium, please give your name and address for the record, and then you are permitted to speak. Each person has one opportunity, no reappearances. And this meeting, of course, is not a question and answer. It's not a debate format. We're really here just to receive the information, and then we will judge ourselves accordingly. I believe that's it. If you have any printed materials, we'll ask that you please give that to our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, that is in the back, in the rear to my right and your left, and she will submit that to us. So now we will go on with the city council meeting as it's presented, and it's printed in your agenda. There, it should be on the projector, or there are paper copies outside. So the first committee is Economic Development Committee, and that's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under the Economic Development Committee at this time.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have two items tonight under Finance. The first is authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Summit Solutionz NV Incorporated for the renovation of the audiovisual system for the downtown conference center. Ms. Chelsea Jackson has come and spoke with us in our committee meetings earlier, and she's going to summarize what our plan of action is. Go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. For several months, staff has been working to develop an RFP as it relates to renovation of the AV system at the conference center. Staff met several times to develop a list of renovation items as well as overall updates needed to the current system. To ensure that this is up to date, staff also went around Metro Atlanta and in the region to ensure that the conference center be competitive as it relates to rentals as well. If you recall, in the last few years, staff has presented a 5- and 10-year capital plan. The renovation of the AV system at the conference center was one of the capital projects on the list, the budget being around $500,000 for the fiscal year 2020. The current system has been in place for about 7 years and is in need of a renovation. On average, AV updates are needed every 5 to 7 years. In May of this year, proposals were posted to the city's website and due within a 3-week time frame. Those interested were required to attend a mandatory AV site visit where they toured the facility with staff to become more equipped with what they would be bidding on. 3 proposals were received, and once received, a team of city employees evaluated the proposals and concluded that PDH and Solutions submitted the most responsive bids, and staff interviewed those 2 companies. Justice AV was $253,000, PDH was $514,000, and Solutions was totaling $399,000, which included a 3-year maintenance plan, which provides 2 preventive site visits as well as 24/7 help desk to answer system questions, and will dispatch technicians from their Georgia office. Justice AV bid was not as responsive as the others, as well as omitting a few items which made it difficult for staff to evaluate properly. PDH was very responsive, but staff believes the amount of manpower presented in their bid would not be enough for renovations, as well as provide adequate customer service. Staff recommends Summit Solutionz Incorporated be awarded because all references were favorable, they met all qualifications, and were the most responsive bidder. Please note staff has worked with this company in the past. Page 9 of the RFP lists what the AV update entails, and the pages following lists each update room by room. Staff foresees one possible change order which deals with the conduit in the auditorium. Staff believes there may be water within the electrical wiring of the microphones, but is unable to be sure until renovation actually starts. Any other change orders would deal directly with aesthetics and ensuring what is installed is user-friendly. As always, any change orders would go through Mayor and Council for approval first. The updates would not affect any scheduling at the conference center, and the timeline of completion is about 60 days, but dependent on the conference center schedule and the initial meeting with the project managers. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Questions of council? Anyone have a question concerning the item?
I had a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you so
Go
much,
ahead.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, for the presentation. And as we discussed in committee, we have dealt with this company before, but they have expanded, and they're a collaboration of 5 other companies. And so some of those issues that we had in the past with our audio-visual systems, they are promising us, and they have in writing, that they will be alleviated. They do have checkpoints where they'll come in and look at the system, and they will do a tutorial as asked by City Council member Dr. LaShun Danley to staff to help us to get some of the kinks out, you know, in regards to the projector or sound system coming in and out and lights and all of that. So feeling more comfortable with this company, as they were here to present and said that they really weren't the first ones to install way back 7 years ago, but they were there to kind of help, and now they've they've collaborated, and they have more accessibility and expertise to help us with this system. So that's the only comment I have, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
thank
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Mr. Chair, one thing people need to understand also, they're questioning why, the conference facility is only 10 years roughly old, and why we're getting new audiovisual equipment, because you have to realize that the lifespan of audiovisual technology is pretty short. And so folks have to understand that that's something that's going to be expected. A facility like this, you're probably going to change out the technology roughly every 10 years or so. And probably in another 10 years, we're going to be doing a renovation of this facility, because, again, that's another thing you have to keep up with. You've got a lot of competition out there as far as conference centers. And so if you're 20 years old and you haven't changed anything, you look pretty dated pretty quickly. So that's all, Mr. Chair.
That was exactly the discussion that we had whenever we discussed the various bids and timeframes. And so by the time we're ready to change it out again, we'll probably be doing a remodel or potentially a facelift of the entire facility. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, for that information. I will not ask that it be placed on the consent agenda. I'd like for us to leave that open for any other discussion we may have on Monday. Are there any questions that anyone had? I know that during our committee meetings we did discuss with the potential vendor, and I think that we've satisfied ourselves as to any concerns there, correct? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
We'll move on to the next item then. Authorize the mayor to sign an electronic funds transfer system authorization agreement for Automated Clearinghouse Debit with Pitney Bowes Incorporated for postage credit for the city's postage machines. Ms. Jackson?
Yes, sir. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. Mayor and Council, if you remember, in the month of May, you all approved 2 contracts for postage machine, for one at City Hall and one at the Police Department. This form is actually just for payment information and allowing the city to do an automatic debit. That's what the ACH, electrical funds transfer. So this is just allows us every month allows them every month to deduct an amount of $364.72, or for us to be billed quarterly at a little bit under $1,100.
Questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. City Manager or Assistant City Manager, have we have any concerns with the postage system from Mr. Trey or Clerk's Office or Police Department, Chief?
No, ma'am. This is a completely different company. Past 5 years, we were using another company, and so in May, you all approved for us to start using a different company. They're a better company, new machines, as well as a lower price. But we haven't had any issues within the past couple of weeks as it relates to our current postage, and we start this postage service on Monday, so we won't know until we actually start.
I know there were some issues before, so.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a new
Completely
company.
different company.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Any other questions? Would it be approvable to go ahead and place this on the consent agenda for Monday? Yes. Thank you. That's all that we have tonight under finance, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Housing and Community Affairs Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShun Danley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under Housing and Community Affairs.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee, the Vice Chair is Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business item under legislative and intergovernmental.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. Personnel and Organization Committee, that's also chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have
Welcome.
one item tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Item A is authorize the mayor to sign a proposal agreement with DeNyse Company, Inc. for construction and installation of a sign at the city's wellness center, and Ms. Bing will take over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Tia Austin Bean, 6695 Church Street, Human Resources. This item before you is to allow us to purchase a wellness center sign for the lobby in the wellness center that's kind of identical to the one that we have at City Hall behind the reception desk, where it's the big logo with the City of Douglasville sign. So we want to duplicate that sign with our wellness center logo for the lobby in the wellness center. And this is the company that we would do that with. Community Relations provided us with the information. We obtained the invoice, and this is the item before you that we are looking to finalize the signage in the wellness center.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, do you have any questions or comments?
I do have a comment. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Austin Bean, I was told, and I believe I said it, but I'm going to say it again publicly, Dr. Nash and Care here, the entire team wanted to thank you and the HR department for such an exceptional job in welcoming them into our system, for our Douglasville team to help us with our health needs for the employees. And they want to say thank you to Mr. Happy, too, and Mr. Gregg and the whole crew. They said it was such an enjoyable experience. So thank you so much. And we're excited to have more signage and have employees take advantage of the health facility that we have. That's all I had. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Austin Bean.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other questions from council? Ms. Austin Bing, I was out of town when they did the walkthrough, or will there be any other opportunities? Because I would like to see it at some point.
Yes, sir. I will contact you, and we can arrange for you to tour the wellness center.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you. I know it's great. If there are no objections, I'd like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bing. All right, Madam Mayor, that's all we had tonight under Personnel and Organization.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to item 10, which is Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We have two items tonight under Planning and Development. We'll start with item A, tabled from June 15, 2020, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from PUD Planned Unit Development with base zone R6, single-family attached apartment residential district, to LI Light Industrial for 95.052 acres in land lot 169, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 4. Application by IDI Logistics Incorporated. Mr. Ryan Anderson is going to help us with that on behalf of the city as to his opening comments. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Welcome. Ryan Anderson, Zoning Administrator, 6701 Church Street. The item currently before you was originally heard at the June 11th City Council Legislative Work Session and the June 15th City Council Legislative Session for voting. The applicant IDI Logistics LLC has requested to rezone land lot 169, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 4 of approximately 95 acres from R6 PUD to light industrial for the development of two warehouse facilities, one being a 605,000 square foot warehouse facility and two, a 453,600 square feet warehouse on property located on Riverside Parkway. The subject property was formerly zoned DCD R6 and is now currently zoned PUD Planned Unit Development. The PUD zone was established to protect and promote a suitable environment for family life, to discourage any use which would generate other than normal residential area traffic on minor streets, and to protect the orderly future development of land in accordance with the land use plan for the city at a density of not more than 2 units per acre. The proposed zoning district, what the applicant is proposing to be rezoned to, is light industrial. The Light Industrial District is established to protect and promote a suitable environment for light industrial purposes, including accessibility to major transportation facilities, availability of adequate utilities and other public services, and availabilities of large quantities of suitable land. Uses compatible with light industrial development are to be encouraged insofar as they are in accordance with the comprehensive plan for the city. The current comp plan shows this parcel as having a mixed-use design character area. The mixed-use design concept is to encourage the best possible site plan and building arrangement under a unified plan of development. The concept benefits from better land utilization, economy in the provision of roads, utilities, and flexibility in design. The comprehensive plan lists the following zones for this character area: DCD, CG, R2, OI, R3, R4, R6, and the proposed light industrial. During the zoning analysis for this proposed project, during the staff zoning analysis for this proposed project, the following findings were derived. Number one, the proposed rezoning of the subject property from PUD to LI is compatible with the City of Douglasville Comprehensive Plan. Number two, the proposed rezoning of the subject property from PUD to LI is compatible with the City of Douglasville future land use map. Number three, the subject property located on Riverside Parkway has a land use designation of mixed use, and a mixed-use element has been established in the tributary area with surrounding residential, office, and existing industrial development. Number four, the proposed rezoning from PUD to LI will not result in a change in the underlying land use. Five, there are existing and similar land uses in the area located to the north and west of the subject property that are currently functioning as light industrial. Number six, rezoning a parcel from PUD to LI will be in scale and character with the changing conditions in the area. Seven, the evolving character of the area is becoming predominantly light industrial. Number eight, due to the size of the proposed development, a development of regional impact analysis was required and completed by the Atlanta Regional Commission. The proposed project met all the threshold requirements of the DRI and received a recommendation of approval. Number nine, a local traffic study was completed and the proposed project met the service level requirements. And number 10, finally, during the review process, comments were solicited from the following agencies: the City of Douglasville Code Compliance Division, the Douglasville Police Department, the Atlanta Regional Commission, and Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, the Douglas County Sewer Authority, Douglas County School System, and the Douglasville Building Division. There were no major objections to the proposed project from any of these agencies. The comments have been provided and are attached within the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. We appreciate that introduction. We would ask that the applicant now come forward and present the application. Again, realizing, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. We do give, as our illustrious mayor has already mentioned, we do give 20 minutes for each for presentation and then for opposition. So please, there will be a timekeeper to keep us in order, and we will start with the applicant and then go to those that may be in opposition. I would urge you, please, to be organized. Please stay within your time limits, and please respect the clock if it does happen to sound while you are speaking. We want to have new information. We welcome that, but we would ask that you would not be repetitive in that same. Thank you, and go ahead, Mr. Fowler.
Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 489, Douglasville. We met with representatives of Tributary last Wednesday night. In a sense, we agreed to disagree about certain issues. We understand their concerns. We're asking for the matter to stay on the table tonight for the following reason. IDI has agreed, as they have done in the past with respect to other developments in the community. Most recently, the warehouse building that was constructed on Blairs Bridge Road, they've agreed to make a donation to seek to lessen the impact on the traffic concerns that the parties in Tributary have. There was some concern about whether or not the traffic study was adequately prepared and reflected the requirements of Greta. We went back and looked at that, and all of the traffic analysis that was performed was in keeping with what was required by that organization. And of course, that ultimately resulted in the recommendation of approval without any conditions. That said, however, that doesn't change the fact that they've got concerns. And we talked about that last Wednesday night, meeting about an hour or hour and 15 minutes. One of the concerns was the intersection of Riverside with Thornton Road and the fact that many citizens who are leaving Tributary and going toward Atlanta go east, of course, on Riverside and then turn right onto Thornton, only then again to turn left on Fulton Industrial. And so the design team with IDI, who designed not just this project, but also the traffic efforts to ameliorate any concerns, is looking at the question of whether or not, working and coordinating with the state DOT, there can be a double right-hand turn there. That analysis has not been completed. Because of that, we are asking that you leave it on the table until your meeting on the 16th, 2 weeks from today, so that perhaps we'll have at that time, we hope we will, a recommendation from our designer and planner and anything we can do, if we can, with the DOT. It's a concern. We recognize that, and we're just trying to be a good corporate citizen to minimize that impact. We don't have anything else to offer in terms of new evidence. We know you've got a thoroughgoing staff recommendation, a recommendation of approval by your Planning and Zoning Board. What we're asking is to have the opportunity to look further at trying to reduce those impacts. That's my presentation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Is there anyone else here that would speak? This being a public hearing, I want to make sure I give opportunity. Anyone else that would speak in favor of the application that would be present tonight?
May I also indicate, if I can interrupt?
Yes.
The representatives who've routinely been here, one is out of town, the other has a health concern, and that's why they're not here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. I don't see anyone else approaching. It being a public hearing, I do want to give the opportunity for those to speak. The request has been made by the applicant that it continue to be tabled, but because we have advertised for a public hearing, I feel that we need to allow comment. So anyone that would like to speak in opposition, please come forward, give us your name and address for the record, and we will complete our public hearing on this item tonight. Who is our timekeeper? Is Ms. Acker our timekeeper? Okay. Thank you very much. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Yes.
Tony Fleming. Live at 2410 River Place Crossing, just off of Riverside Parkway. During the last meeting, one of the council members expressed that they had taken the time to drive on Riverside Parkway to see what the traffic was like and what the situation was with the trucks. I don't recall who it was. I was watching this online. Thank you. You had stated that you didn't see any, but at the same time you said, well, that doesn't mean it's not there, but you hadn't actually experienced it.
Right.
I wanted to share with you the experience, as it were. I would ask that you would reference page 356 in your council packet. Yes, sir, 356. You should be looking at a Google map of Cahey Distribution Center on Riverside.
Mr. Fleming, I'm not sure that we have 356 pages loaded. 220? Give us just a minute. We just may be in a different.
And I have the photos. I have the printout of it as well.
I downloaded it just before I came out here, and it was 405 pages long. So I obviously don't have the same version. But if you have found that image of the street view where it states that Cahey is 1.4 miles from the tributaries, thank you, Mayor. That's where I would start this. I will keep this brief. This merely points out the location, which is less than 1.5 miles from the tributaries and less than half a mile of the proposed rezoning. On the following page, you're going to notice comments made by those who actually use this facility. These are truckers that are commenting. And on the following page, you'll see that there's no overnight parking space, and closest parking's 20 miles away, limited maneuver, doesn't speak very favorably of his experience there. On the following page, it's even more stark. The following image, the comment by the user is, the volume of inbound freight is greater than what this facility can handle. And these are the words of those who use the facility, not the neighbors. In the following picture, you're going to see an image of 3 vehicles parked. It's a grainy picture because it's a panoramic picture, because the following photo shows 2 more pictures, or 2 more vehicles parked. To give detail, the full panoramic photo is on the following image, and you're going to see 5 semis simultaneously parked on Riverside Parkway. Now, there was some question over whether parking was actually legal or not, and in the following image that you see, there is a Google Streets view that I've captured online recently. And you're going to notice that there is a no parking bike lane sign to the right, just at the entrance of Cahee. And in the following image, you can see the fate of that sign. I have that sign, by the way. It's in my garage right now. I might be breaking a law. I probably shouldn't have said that. The following image is just a view of 4 vehicles parked in a row along, and this is heading eastbound on Riverside leading up to the entrance of Cahee. And the next image is rather stark because it shows what it's like to shoot the gap, as it were, between a parked semi and a semi that's moving to the side. So you're literally driving between a pair of walls of vehicles. The following view is showing 6 vehicles simultaneously, 6 semis simultaneously, 2 of them, once again, parked. 1 of them making an illegal turn because he has to turn from the traffic lane because the turn lane is effectively too sharp for a semi to make that. Closer to the tributaries in the following image, you see 3/10 of a mile, a vehicle parked there on the side. I have seen them parked in that median that you see in the middle, but I was unable to capture that in recent times. And the following image shows a semi that's quote-unquote parked, but as you can see, he clearly didn't quite get the tractor portion or the trailer portion of his tractor trailer off the side of the road. The front end of the truck is across the white line, but the back end is clearly way out, and I could hear as I was about to snap this photo a semi coming, and I thought, well, this will be good. And I waited for it to pass and took that picture that you see there. Now, this has all been about parking. And one of the things that has been outlined, that's time? Okay.
Yes, sir, that's you.
You know what? I'll leave it with that. I will thank you for your time. I will say on the final slide, I address a different issue, which is the speed of the traffic.
Yes, sir,
Thank you
we
very
do have that, Mr. Fleming. Yes, sir, thank you. Who else?
Hi, I'm Jeanette Mathern, 9909 Ardwick Greenway in Tributary. We moved here from Findlay, Ohio, and Lower Michigan. And I taught for 30 years in the Findlay High School. And I just know that before all the warehouses came to Findlay, and Dennis can tell you more details about the economics of it, but I just know that the school changed in ways that we never anticipated. So if your schools are in favor of this change, they may not know what's coming. As soon as we added these, 5, 6, 7 warehouses to Findlay, it went from being very white collar, a very award-winning school, to a school system wherein 40% of the students qualified for free lunch. It happened in a very few years. We had to hire more ESL tutors. We had to hire more mentors. we had a bigger problem with violence and in-school suspension. The school completely changed. And people used to fight to get into that school district. The county kids came in. They wanted to pay money to get to go to Finley High School because it was bigger and it was better, and the kids all went to college. And, you know, that just kind of drifted away. The reputation changed. And people finally figured out that it was those $10 an hour jobs in all those warehouses. The whole demographics of Finley changed. And the school system could not keep up. It costs money. Everything, you know, it just hit the budget in ways that nobody could have anticipated. So I'd just like to urge you to give that some thought as one of those repercussions that you don't think about until it happens. And Dennis can tell you more, I think.
Thank you, ma'am. Would you mind giving us your last name again, Ms. Jeanette?
It's Mathern, M-A-T-H-E-R-N.
Thank you, ma'am. How are you, sir?
Dennis Mathern, 9909 Ardwick Greenway, Douglasville, Georgia. And my perspective is mostly about the infrastructure issues and the environmental issues that come with increasing the amount of square footage under roof. But obviously one of the things Jeanette was referring to is just the economic impact of, you know, the wages that are paid, and I assume those wages have gone up from the experience that she's had there, but it's still a situation where you have to look at more than just the impact of that business, but how it affects every stakeholder in the community. So what Finley discovered was some issues that I don't think they anticipated was the additional runoff of water, in that there was a vast amount of water that was running into the rivers and into the streams, and ultimately led to some flooding issues that they've been dealing with for years, and continue to deal with those when they have the heavy rains up in Findlay, Ohio. So you've probably done a land use study that indicates implication of water runoff and how that can be controlled, or what the cost of that might be. I know in the case of Findlay, they've spent, well, the government spent nearly $100 million on studies and changes to try and offset what they concluded is basically an awful lot of water runoff that's coming from these facilities. And there's dozens of these warehouse buildings that have been built there. It's near I-75. So that was a cost I don't think they anticipated. The other cost that, at least according to the minutes of council meetings, is there's increased costs associated with road reconstruction and road use, and it's not like it's an annual issue. It's like a perennial issue where there's a constant need to make sure that the road is maintained, and that maintenance is done through local and state government because of the impact of the trucks and the traffic coming in. So those are two key issues. The other thing, just from a business perspective, businesses in 2020 spend as much time trying to make a dollar as they do trying to save a dollar. So most businesses are going back to anyone in their supply chain to say, is there a way for you to decrease the cost and to do this part of my supply chain? And it's one of those things that I think every business is having to contend with, to say, well, my budget projection was based on this revenue stream, and right now I'm being asked to change that. And it depends. I mean, if you're running a business where 80% of your revenue is coming from one customer, it's oftentimes difficult to say, you know, we're not going to help you with cutting costs. So, I mean, it's just all those, I don't know what, issues that sometimes don't get covered, that after looking at a situation 30 years later, you'd say, oh, these were some issues that maybe they wish they would have talked more about when they first started doing this. It's created jobs. Those jobs are still there. But I think the reality of the impact it's had on the community and the schools is still there as well. And that's for me.
Thank you, sir. Someone else. Please come forward.
Yes, hi. Good evening. My name is LaPortia Newell. My address is 1621 Chancery Lane, Lithia Springs, Georgia. I just recently closed on a property in the Tributary subdivision. I am a native West Georgian, born and bred. And when I saw this proposal of the warehouse, it was disheartening. Just because a young professional like myself, there is a lack of housing in West Georgia. And when I say lack of housing, quality custom-built homes for the area. I commute to Alpharetta before the virus. And so for my age group, we're at a point in our lives where we're coming back home. But there's hardly a home to come back to in West Georgia when there's not enough high-paying jobs in this particular area, because everyone has to commute to either Ashford and Dunwoody or Alpharetta or Cummings for high-paying jobs. So I just want to say to the council, maybe just reconsider and maybe attract more of technology jobs for the area. Because in order for the community to thrive, you need high-paying jobs. And unfortunately, I don't think these warehouse proposals are going to attract the caliber of people that you need for the area within 10, 15, 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Someone else?
Conrad Kiffin, 3214 Ancoat Street in Douglasville, Georgia. I'm going to make it real short and simple, short and sweet. Just pointing out a few facts. So currently on Riverside Parkway, there are 280,000 square feet of light industrial available to rent right now. We do not need more empty warehouses. We need more developed residential space, more retail space. In our meeting with IDI earlier last week, they came up with no solutions. It was basically just a listening session. All of their comments were geared towards what can we do, what can we do? They didn't really come up with any solutions to make it seem sensible to have a further conversation. We thought they were going to come with something, and they did not. The fact that they didn't have any solutions for the problems that we're bringing up shows a lack of vision on their part, that they don't see the impact of how it's going to affect the region. They haven't addressed it. And now we're bringing these issues to them, and now they're trying to, fifth quarter, basically get it together and cobble something together that's going to work. But we don't have a lot of time. There are other proposals that are going to be coming up, and I think we have to keep it moving at some point. We need to consider the impact of other development in the area on Riverside Parkway. There are apartments coming. There are more single-family homes coming. Tributary is building like crazy, and that's going to be more cars on the road from residents, not from factories. We all need to consider that. It's been established by the gentleman that spoke earlier about the traffic that we are beyond max capacity for trucks on Riverside Parkway and in the region, especially on Riverside Drive. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Someone else?
Hi, my name is Ryan Hill, 9922 Ashland Road.
Last name again, I'm sorry, I didn't get.
Hill.
Hale, thank you.
H-I-L-L. I've moved to Tributary a year ago, and I love the community. To what somebody else had spoke of earlier, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this logo here. I'm one of the first hires of Microsoft's expansion in the Atlanta region. Microsoft is bringing 1,500 jobs to the region, and every time when somebody is transferring from a different location or a new hire, and they're asking, where can I go, where can I live, I'm always bringing up Douglasville and Tributary because I love my community. And what those folks are going is that they're going to Cumming. They're going to Forsyth for either schools or the amenities that those communities have to offer. So
I'm here to simply state that think about what Douglasville is going to offer as new hires come to Atlanta for those high-paying jobs. Are they going to go to Alpharetta, or are they going to go to Douglasville? What can Douglasville offer? Because as the applicant is suggesting, it is nothing but warehouses or light industrial. Where are the communities? How can we attract those people to our community so that we can foster? And I feel that that kind of aligns with what the council initially wanted to do for this particular city. So I just ask that you consider that as more companies come to Atlanta, because they know of the demographic and of the talent that is here. What is the city going to do to make sure that, hey, some of that talent makes Douglasville their home? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Someone else? How much time do we have, Ms. Acker? Thank you. This gentleman, I'm sure, can take that time.
I'll try to be brief, Mark.
Good evening,
Thank
Mr. Sisk.
Philip Sisk, 9905 Ardwick Greenway, Douglasville. I think, in all due respect, Ryan, his presentation should have been presented during IDI's time, because how anyone could say that changing from the PUD to light industrial will not change the area. I don't know what your thinking was on that, Ryan, because it is going to prohibit further development of single-family homes over there. And yes, we have tolerated warehouse after warehouse coming out of Riverside Parkway. I just don't see how we can expect our community to continue to grow when we're just allowing these warehouses to eliminate an area that was originally established for single-family homes, 2005, and the PUD clearly states that. And yeah, the more warehouses we build, Ryan, the more conducive it will be to light industrial. So let's just line them up and make it Fulton Industrial. Sorry to get emotional, but
Thank you, Mr. Sisk.
you're talking about my land values, my home, my community, and Douglasville. And I want Douglasville to continue to grow as a prosperous community and not an industrial parkway.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
I'll be brief. My name is Aaliyah Roberts, 3219 Blackley Old Road, Douglasville, Georgia, also in the tributary neighborhood. I just want to close this opposition session with a brief statement that we ask that the council deny the petitioner's request to table the petition. It is their responsibility to come to the council with their petition prepared and ready to go. It's incumbent upon the members of the council to give homeowners swift resolution to issues. We've identified several issues beyond truck parking and traffic as reasons that we don't want the warehouses, and even the petition is able to abate those issues. It doesn't resolve the increased road traffic, undesirable look of warehouse in general, and the insurmountable decrease in property value that we will all suffer from the presence of warehouses, and specifically request that they vote at the meeting, at the regularly scheduled voting meeting. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? I'm sure we're close on time, Ms. Acker. 14 seconds. Okay. Anyone else that would like to speak for about 3 seconds? No, I think we're out of time. We do appreciate everyone coming. We appreciate all of your comments and your input, and we will close out the public hearing. Is there any comment of council, or Madam Mayor, do you have any comment at this time? Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the applicant and the community and citizens for coming out, the residents, about this issue that is very, very serious. I did have maybe a recommendation, and I'm not certain if it would have to leave Planning and Development or if it could be Planning and Development Committee and Transportation Committee to maybe look at, because we do have a lot of truck traffic on Riverside Parkway, and inevitably they will go to Fairburn Road and that whole area, which is, you know, it's a plethora of residential in Riverside. So I know inside of the loop of 285 and 75, there are times where trucks can't come in. So I don't know how we would make that proposal of maybe not having them come on Riverside Parkway just through Thornton Road and not going all the way down to Fairburn, because then that would help to alleviate them going to the residential part. So if they had to come in through Thornton and go back out of Thornton, but not on Fairburn, I don't know. That's just a recommendation, because I do know in 285 and 75 that trucks have to go all the way around at a certain time. They can't just drive inside the loop while residents are trying to get back and forth to work. They can't drive through downtown Atlanta, is the point I was making. And I know, Mr. Chairman, that you had said at our last meeting during the work session that that the citizens had to take into consideration, if this was not rezoned to light industrial, that the PUD was open for a base zone of R6, and that could possibly potentially be apartments. So just to make certain, and I think that, you know, some of the residents said what they would rather have residential, even if it were at an R6 and or apartments rather than a warehouse, and that there are 13 warehouses in that area. I did look at, Mr. Sisk sent me, of course, pictures. We're periodically, he'll send pictures of the trucks, and so I wanted us to make certain that we did see that and to see how much of a cumbersome and safety issue that really, you know, concerns me with all those trucks, and seeing 6 at one time. It wasn't like the pictures were doctored. That's just how it is all the time. I get pictures all the time that that area has a lot of trucks. And I think the signs, the bike trail has been damaged from trucks, and just the whole concern with those 18-wheelers being on Riverside that was destroying, you know, the character of the neighborhood and the roads that we put so much money into. I know the police go, the chief and I have talked, and we have our meetings about manning that area, and they go, of course, to write tickets, and they've written tickets before, but sometimes they can't catch the truck. So that's all. I don't know, but really that whole, if we can get something to say that trucks that are the existing buildings that are there, that they can go in through Thornton, go back out to Thornton, not go past the residential area to get, you know, and tear up the streets in that area, make it a safety issue, and not have the accessibility to go to Fairburn Road. So
That's a good request, Madam Mayor. My question there would be, where would they turn around, number one? Number two, Riverside Parkway being a county road.
Okay, well, we can talk to the
we would
county.
have a difficult time, I'm afraid, in trying to enforce something like that, but I'm open. Coach?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One comment I'd like to make about the traffic. Worked at Six Flags, and sometimes I'd go Lower River Road to get to work in the mornings, and that light at Thornton Road is, I mean, it's backed up sometimes a mile or two. It's a combination of trucks. So a lot of the residents that are going to work in the morning, that's the way they go. And if we funnel all the trucks in that one direction, it's going to be even worse going through that intersection. But you know, looking at these pictures is a stark reality.
Yes, sir. Anyone else?
I'd like to add a comment.
Yes, Mr. Justice, go ahead.
From my experience personally, the trucks, the pictures that you're speaking about, Chris, are bad. I mean, with the lines of trucks parked on the side of the road. For me personally, the bigger problem is the trucks driving on the road, because they're driving at 20, 25, 30 miles an hour when the speed limit is 55. And that is a bigger safety concern, because they can't get up to 55 miles an hour with the hills, and because they're coming out of these warehouses, they don't have time to build up speed. So that causes not only traffic issues, but safety issues. And then you add in the trucks that are parked on the side, trying to pull out into traffic and get up even to 20 or 25 miles an hour is out of control. So the truck traffic is horrendous. I have a logistical question with tabling, though, in addition to that. This has already been tabled once. What is the limit to the time that an item can be tabled?
Ms. Littlefield, will you help us with that, just to refresh us as to the number of times we can table and for how long?
Not more than twice, not longer than 60 days total.
Okay, so not more than 2 tablings and not more than 60 days total. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Ms. Justice?
I am personally not in favor of tabling again. I don't think that there's anything that can come out of additional meetings that's going to change the mind of the citizens of the area. So I would say do not table it again. Vote on it on Monday.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I just want to close this time out. I don't feel as though I owe an apology, but I want to maybe issue an explanation, because there were a couple of comments made there, none of which I felt as though were personally toward me. When I made the visit to the property on the day in question, I don't even remember what day that was now, I happened to go during a time of day when I was in the area when I could go. So I wasn't there at a specific time looking for a specific problem. I was looking for the property itself in order to come and view it myself, to see it, to see where it was located in relation to other residential areas and to other industrial areas. So the fact that I did not see anything there that was out of the ordinary as far as truck traffic or parking or signs down, just happened to be when I was there, okay? Also, I in no way would have questioned the intelligence of those residents in the area by saying, well, if you do not want to have more industrial there, then just realize what you could have. And I just wanted to make sure when I made the motion to table 2 weeks ago that I wanted everyone to have time to just sit back and look through the process and see if there was any way that we could work together as a community. And if there is, fine. If there's not, fine. We'll take that up on Monday. But again, I appreciate the respectfulness of all of those that have attended, the way that you have handled yourselves, and we look forward to taking this up then on Monday.
Mr. Chairman, I did have another additional comment,
okay.
It is raining cats and dogs. Woo, hope everybody has their umbrella.
You have to speak up, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir. So not any disparaging comments on you and saying that it was residential or R6, but just to say a general comment in our presentation from Mr. Anderson. Thank you so much. You did a very great job standing in for Ms. Williams in the zoning department and planning and development, that it's already zoned PUD. And the compatibility issue, I think, is subjective. It just depends on who's looking at it, because compatibility says two things that can occur and exist at the same time without problems or conflict. And there are definitely problems and conflict
Yes, ma'am.
with these two issues. So it is a privilege and not a right for rezoning. It's already zoned something, and to be rezoned is not automatic. I just want the citizens to know that. It's a privilege to receive a rezoning, and that's just what it is. So I just want to sit that down for the record. I wasn't trying to say that, you're going to get apartments. It's zone PUD.
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what it is. And the rezoning would change that. And it's not automatic. It's not that you have the right to have that rezone. It is a privilege. But the person, of course, who owns the land can ask, because it is their land.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. No other questions or comments. We will go to the next item, and we'll take that up on Monday night. Item B is to consider a request for preliminary plat approval for D.R. Horton for the purpose of subdividing into 67 tracts, 24.25 acres in land lot 155, District 1, parcel 396 to 462. Application by Jeff Wilkerson, LaCroix Engineering, and Ms. Maya Jackson with the City of Douglasville is going to present this preliminary plat. How are you, Ms. Jackson?
I'm well. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well.
Maya Jackson, Planner 1, 6701 Church Street.
The item before you is a request for preliminary plat approval for the purpose of subdividing 24 acres of land into 67 lots to allow D.R. Horton to continue their tributary villages development and to initiate phase C2A of the development. This city staff has reviewed the request and has determined that the proposed preliminary plat meets the purpose and intent of the City of Douglasville Unified Development Ordinance. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I do have a question before I turn it over to anyone else, just to make sure. Is this a redesign of a previously laid out parcel, or is this just raw land that is now being expanded as to another phase within the development?
It's raw land, so it has not been subdivided yet.
Okay, not been subdivided in the past, new plan, 67 lots on 24 acres, 25 acres, 24.25. That, I noticed in the preliminary, there were lots that ranged anywhere from 5,000 feet to 10,000 feet, and this is within the present zoning of the property. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Part of the PUD?
Yes, sir. The infrastructure is already there. Ashton Old Road is already there, so they're just subdividing the parcel.
Okay. Questions, comments?
I do, Mr. Chairman, for the developer and you, or all things, you know, you're the wise owl over here. What does that yield, the 24?
I'll calculate that for us right now.
Okay.
67 divided by 25 would be 2.6 units per acre.
Okay. Oh, architect too, so I'm surrounded by all this wisdom.
2.6 units per acre average.
Okay, that's all I had.
Nothing out of the ordinary as far as that zoning. Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, looking at the development, I would say it appears, as best I can tell, that it, to follow along with the original development of tributary. It seems to be consistent with the density, roughly speaking, and the pattern of the community. I think the original plan was to, if you look at it from a map perspective, you'd see this sort of like a large arc that was supposed to be created off of Riverside, and that would all be residential, with the commercial sort of down in the center of that arc. And obviously, the tributaries struggled with commercial property over the years simply because there were not enough rooftops, and so hopefully this will start adding to the rooftops that will eventually get the commercial aspect of that going. So as long, I think it seems to be suitable for what they're showing.
Yes, sir. Others? Anyone else have any comment? Mr. Estes? So it meets all of the requirements that we have and at present, and staff is recommending that it be approved, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there are no other questions, then we'll take that up on Monday night. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Appreciate that presentation. That's all that we have, Madam Mayor, under Planning and Development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Well done. We'll move on to item 11, which is Public Improvement and Beautification Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Public Relations Committee, chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no items under public relations this evening.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety Committee, the Vice Chair is Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight. Item A, hold a public hearing to consider a request for the alcoholic beverages license for the on-premise sale and consumption of wine and malt beverages and spirituous liquor at the following establishment: Licensee TBL 25 Jet LLC, TBA Table 25 Fork and Wine, location 7475 Douglas Boulevard, Suite 111, 112. Proposed agent outlet manager, Takia Priester. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. The required fees have been paid into the finance department. Go ahead, Ms. Priester.
Good evening. Can you hear me with the mask?
Your name and address for the record, and yeah, there you go.
Well, you pull the microphone down, probably.
Good evening. Is this better? Okay, thank you. My name is Takia Priester, 7475 Douglas Boulevard, Suite 111, 112, Douglasville, Georgia. I am here requesting for alcoholic beverage license for on-site sale and consumption of wine, malt liquor, and spirits at the following establishment: Table 25 Fork and Wine Restaurant on Douglas Boulevard.
Thank you. Have y'all opened yet, or you?
No, we have not opened yet. We are in the final stages. We have passed all codes and inspections, so we're ready for opening.
Okay, all right. I know we've got a public hearing. Do that first, or go to y'all and then go to? Okay, I'll go ahead and ask if Mayor, if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. We welcome you this evening. I wanted to ask about your business acumen, or how long have you had a business before, and all of those type of questions.
I would like to bring up Jermaine Garrett. He's our restaurant developer and operations manager, and he has experience with restaurants and has opened restaurants before. So
Okay.
I'll let him answer your questions.
Yes, sir. Give us your name and address for the record, and then just give us a little bit of information about your experience and opening up a restaurant, and what type this is going to be, and just a little overview, please.
Okay. I'm Jermaine Garrett, 5262 Everness Court, Douglasville, Georgia. I have over 17 years of experience in the restaurant business. I've done numerous restaurants in the city of Atlanta and the outskirts as well.
Yes,
I'm familiar with all the laws, bylaws, conditions of alcohol sales, restaurant management. My last project was opening up another local Douglasville, a resident, Cam Newton's Fellowship Lounge, which is located in the city of Atlanta. And what we're going to bring to Douglasville since I've moved here is everything is lacking. We don't have any vegan options. We don't have any farm-to-table options, and we don't have good wine either. So we're going to bring in all those elements and create a space that people in the area can really appreciate versus doing the same chain restaurants and chain stores. And it also be locally operated with 2 residents of Douglasville as well.
Very good, Mr. Garrett. Now, our vegan that we have is at the Vine, and we do have other, Blue Rose Bistro offers vegan as well. And Farm to Table is on Highway 5. What's the name of it?
Farmer's Table.
Farmer's Table?
Yeah. I frequent that place. I like it.
Yeah, they're really great. But we're excited to have you. Now, you've had a lot of experience. You said 17 years. So how do you train your people to recognize or ask for, appropriate ID for serving alcohol?
Right now we use a lot of server-based style like internet training. We do tip serve, which is one of the best to train your staff on how to spot things that are potentially bad. We do weight training too, and that's another onboard training program that's online. But not only that, we do our own curriculum and we build it through our handbook. So they have to go through our guidelines before they can even touch the floor, which is a little bit more extreme than the typical stuff that the city requires. We want to make sure we put a good product out with a good service, and the only way we can do that is bring them up to our speed and not just the regular standard of service for everybody else.
Yes, sir. And you know still about the social distancing when you do decide to open, and those requirements still with COVID-19.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Any other questions from council?
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Just curious, I'm somewhat familiar with Douglas Boulevard, but what is the location physically? Where will you be?
7475 is the formal Cabin Fever Roasters. It's right down the street from Home Depot.
Yes, sir. Know where it is.
Okay.
Know where it is. Thank you. And so your experience in restaurant is extensive. Your experience in the service of alcohol, is it also just as extensive?
Yes, sir. Very. They bring me in and to protect the business, to make sure everybody's abiding by all the rules and guidelines, not for just the city, the state, and the owners as well.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Adams, anybody else?
Yes, Councilman Watts have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, welcome to the city of Douglasville. Just a question for your manager. You stated you live here in Douglasville and you're going to help open the restaurant. Are you helping opening the restaurant, or are you going to actually be the manager on site?
I'm gonna be a permanent fixture in the business completely.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman for Danley, anybody else? Well, we are excited about a new restaurant in the area. This is a public hearing. We always have public hearings on issues of alcohol. So if anybody is, that wants to speak in favor of this item or opposed to this item, you can come forward now and speak your piece. Name and address for the record. Are you speaking for or against?
I am speaking for.
Okay.
So my name, again, for the record, is Aaliyah Roberts, 3219 Blackley Old Road in Douglasville. I am absolutely delighted to hear that there is another option for dining that is also vegan, but also brings kind of the beer, wine, and spirits. That is another opportunity for us to be able to go out and enjoy ourselves in Douglasville without having to go all the way to Atlanta. While we love Vine Market and Farmer's Table, sometimes having a beverage while enjoying those meals is a nice thing, and I'm super excited to not have to go all the way to Atlanta to enjoy good food, good drinks, and a good time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else in favor that would like to speak? All right. Anybody that's opposed may come forward. All right. Thank you. We'll close the public hearing. And do you have anything else to say? Well, y'all come back on Monday and we'll vote on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Madam Mayor, that's all we had tonight under public safety.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. We'll move on to item number 14, which is Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts as well.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Recreation, Culture, and Tourism.
Thank you, sir. Technology Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time under the Technology Committee.
Thank you, sir. Transportation Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShun Danley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other business to come before council this evening from council members? I do have a quick, I was trying to find my letter. I hope that it went to everyone. It's a public health alert from Cobb-Douglas Public Health about COVID-19. I know I sent it to all council members, and I just would say it to the community that we have had an increase in our COVID cases in Cobb and Douglas. We've gone from 8% to almost 11%, with 892 total confirmed cases and unfortunately 36 deaths in Douglas County. The public health has put out the alert before the public alert. It was pinned yesterday by Dr. Memark, who is the director of Cobb-Douglas Public Health, the epidemiologist. And what she has said is that we have 3 times the testing at our site in Douglas, and the same amount at the hospital. We are not overrun at the hospital. There still is capacity at Douglas County Wellstar, but we do have a lot of people that have been coming into the emergency room, and so we just want everyone to be very aware that COVID has not gone anywhere. And we want you to be very safe and careful during the holiday season with large crowds. And so Dr. Memark is really emphasizing that we continue to wear face coverings, wear masks, practice social distancing, and wash our hands. And so we just need to be aware that it is still here, and they are doing some additional testing, they're telling me, with the WIC program and DFACS to make certain that everyone is covered in the area. And all the tests are free for the COVID-19 tests, and they aren't at Hunter Park anymore, they're at Public Health on Selman Drive. So citizens can go there to have their tests done for COVID-19, and we just continue to pray for a vaccine very soon, and that we will stay safe in the community. Okay, any other business from council members? Not seeing any. Do we have updates from city staff or city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson?
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Dotson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, what's going on, Chief? You have something?
Nothing, Madam Mayor. Just glad to be here.
I know that's right. You know, you had your rally was great, and the town hall meeting was really well. We appreciate you doing that for us, Chief, and how you continue to protect the citizens. Thank you. Our city manager, Ms. Marsha Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. A bit of some good news. You all, we did receive a letter this week from the governor's office acknowledging that they will share some of the CARES Act funding with the city of Douglasville. Our estimated total that we are anticipated on receiving is about $1.7 million. That funding must go toward COVID-related expenses. The proposed option is to provide that funding to us in 3 installments. We should receive the initial installment within in the next couple weeks, which is about $500,000. So Ms. Emily Hardaway, our graduate fellow, has already been working on a variety of grants for us to cover some costs and expenses related to things such as PPE, technology equipment, allowing for some of our employees to work from home if they can. Of course, we have the situation with our sanitation workers getting the automated trucks, so we have those types of expenses. My plan with the finance department is to sit down and meet over the next week or so to detail what anticipated costs that we feel like we may have, and we'll bring a proposal to you all on where we need to shift that funding. We know other cities also and counties will be talking about things such as hazardous pay. We'll look at those as well. And one of the final things to mention, along with what the mayor suggested on where we are as it relates to COVID, I've asked Ms. Austin Bing to meet with CARE here to look at the city of Douglasville providing testing for our employees who would have extreme exposure, including yourself, so that we don't have to go anywhere off-site. We can just go to our own wellness center, and those are expenses that we can cover through the CARES Act funding, is to have our own testing site for our employees who may be exposed. We'll also look at things such as Ms. Jackson is looking at sign-in mechanisms so that when you, for instance, come into a facility such as this, we had a maximum capacity night. So as you screen your temperature, we're offering masks, but we will also be collecting data. So if we ever have an incident, we would know who to contact and who to call, and that information would be automatically captured. So there are a variety of technology changes that we'll be looking at, that we'll be presenting to you all. And the other thing to be mindful of, just to give some thought to, I've already mentioned this to the mayor, we will have some recommendations about the request from the Development Authority, as you all remember, about providing funding to businesses that have been hit economically through COVID. But our consideration will be the city of Douglasville first, and we will have but items for that entity as well, as we look to help those businesses that have been hurt through economic losses. The other thing I would add is you do have a citizen request this afternoon. We're not asking for you all to vote on this item tonight, but what we are asking you is to hear the request and be prepared to have some follow-up comments later on after you have heard the request. And that is my report, Madam Mayor, and I hope that you all have a very safe, enjoyable 4th for you all and your families, and I'll see you all on Monday.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, City Manager. I did have a couple of things about the CARES Act to put a plug in, maybe for the COVID-19. I know we have to spend those resources from the governor on the COVID-19 things that happened to the city. So our recycling, I know we put that on hold because of expense, resources, and we didn't want employees to actually touch. They have to touch recycling. It's much different from gathering trash. I've gotten a lot of comments and questions about recycling. So if you can just address that, and I'm not certain if COVID could help us with recycling or not, but I know that, you know, we don't want to put our employees at risk, that we have the front load trucks and automatic to pick up receptacles, but with recycling, they have to actually touch the materials, and that can, expose them to germs.
We'll have a comprehensive proposal for you all in the month of August. As you remember, you all approved Jacobs Engineering to do a cost study for sanitation rates.
Mm-hmm.
Not only COVID, but even prior to COVID, we were looking at recycling, because the cost to recycle, you all are actually, in a sense, subsidizing for your residents to recycle. So we're having to look at those rates to make certain that when we come back, that we are adjusting those costs in sanitation across the board. And now we're adding COVID, so now we have to take a look at how we manage the service and the operation of that service overall. So around your first meeting in August, we'll have a comprehensive report for all of those, and hopefully we're able to bring recycling back online.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is September, but of course that is all depending upon the decisions that you all make around a price structure for the services that we will be providing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much, City Manager. And you talked about the request from the Development Authority from our CARES here, and that's Development Authority and the Chamber of Commerce. And of course, they've asked private donors, Development Authority, Chamber, and the county and the city to give to help the businesses that were affected by COVID-19. And for us to really look at that, and also the City Manager and Finance Director, they're compiling a list to help us to see what resources we do give in our service delivery with the county. I know we had a request from the pantry and other nonprofits, but we do give with our service delivery agreement. So when the county gives to CSB, all of those entities, the city gives as well, because we have a service delivery agreement with them that gives those resources. So I just want to, once we get the list, we'll see exactly how much we give, and so we'll have an answer to some of the nonprofits who, you know, will make requests and say the county has given us thus, and can the city give? We've already given, and that we, you know, our service delivery agreement has that option, that caveat for us to give. And the last thing, oh, go ahead. Do you have something, Mr. Estes?
No, I was just going to say that's perfect. That was my question, was can this apply to some of these grants that we have discussed previously?
Yeah, and I will state, again, the funding has to be COVID-related. The county is getting their own distribution. The way the money was allocated, it was a percentage based on your 2019 census population. So I believe, I don't want to state a number wrong, but of course, if you look at the county's population, it'll be a significantly higher number than what we would receive.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask about the street naming for the family. They come in, and one of the members sent me an email and just wanted to know the status.
We've contacted them July 20th, so we're asking if you all would give feedback to Ms. Danley about the location. The family will be back on July 20th for us when everybody is here to vote on that.
Did you remind us of the streets, maybe send them to us, have Councilmember Burden, you don't have to tell us your recommendation now.
Oh, no, if you would like to submit your recommendations, you can submit them via email, and I'll get with Ms. Hampton, and we'll move forward.
And we can resend the family's letter out to you all as well.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last thing is the PGA is coming the 6th and 7th, the Georgia PGA to West Pines. We were one of the 3 communities chosen in the state of Georgia to host, and so we have 100 golfers that will be here July 6th and 7th, and so we're excited about that. So if you see signs up that says Welcome PGA, that's what it's for. West Pines were the last ones on the tour. They went to Augusta, Alpharetta, and now they're coming to Douglasville for West Pines. And the people that win that, I understand they'll go on to the main PGA. Every state is holding their conferences, and those golfers will go to the PGA for the country. So that's all with the reports. Okay, last one is committee comments from citizens and delegates, and we have an appeal from Associate Pastor Brandon Penniman. You've sustained the entire meeting, Mr. Penniman, for consideration of a resolution regarding Unity Day in support of Black Lives Matter movement. And so if you can present to us, and then we will hear your recommendation and take it under consideration.
All right, awesome. First off, thank you guys for this moment. My name is Brandon Penniman. Address is 1082 Abington Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And I'd also like to request that my brothers are able to come up, Henry Mitchell and Zach Connor. As I mentioned, my name is Brandon Penniman, and I am the founder of Fit for the Future Community Development Group. And we three are also co-founders of Black Diamonds, which is a community organization here in Douglasville. If you're unfamiliar with some of our history, we fed thousands of families in Douglasville. We've provided thousands of book bags in Douglasville, and we've given out thousands of dollars in scholarships from Douglasville out of our own pockets and out of our own personal endeavors and hard work. And so today we come as concerned citizens, residents, and former students of Douglas County. All of us graduated from Douglas County High School, and we've come back and created this organization. And today we want to present a resolution to you guys as we see the many issues that our nation is facing right now, the pressing issues that our nation has faced for the past 400 years. And we thought that we would come today to present a resolution for Douglas County and Douglasville to take a proactive stance in regards to justice and equality within our nation, and specifically within this community. So I won't belabor the point anymore. I'll get straight into our resolution. Please bear with us. This is our first time ever writing a resolution. And so we tried to write it to our best ability. I'm sure there may be some legal portions that may need to be doctored, but we'll give you what we have and allow you guys to go back and consider it at a later date. To be presented to the city of Douglasville, Mayor and City Council. Whereas we believe this nation was founded and established upon the premise that all people are created equal, regardless of their color, and that every person should have the opportunity to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas we believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great example to each of us on how to treat people equally, how to build up each other in fellowship, love, and community, and how to show kindness and respect both to friends and those with whom no friendship currently exists. And whereas we believe, while many around the state of Georgia and the United States of America are putting forth valiant efforts to tear down the remaining barriers of inequality and racism, there needs to be a unified demonstration in Douglasville of the power of unity, peace, and justice for all. Whereas, what better time to proclaim the right of every person to enjoy life, liberty, personal and family safety, and the pursuit of happiness than the 3 days leading up to the national celebration of Independence Day. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by Fit for the Future and Black Diamonds that we encourage the elected leadership of our community to celebrate July the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd as days to reflect and express the true meaning of American independence. During this time, we will encourage the community and local leaders to speak out, march, and stand up together for the cause of freedom, justice, peace, and equality. This, we hope, will be a time for our entire community to take a stand against racism and reflect on the joy and the blessings of all people dwelling together in unity and respect. These 3 days should be a time for Douglasville to examine and celebrate our acceptance of all voices in love, liberty, peace, unity, nonviolence, and justice for all, regardless of your race, nation of origin, or creed. Be it furthermore proclaimed by Fit for the Future and Black Diamonds that we, in the coming weeks and indefinite future, will be active in the community in promoting activities which will continue to manifest the spirit of our nation's true independence, including sponsoring and co-sponsoring forums and initiatives to address topics such as community mental health, problems of injustice, community and police relations, community review boards, the building of economic strength, voting, casting ballots, and the discussing of the true narrative of all the people who played a part in American history. In witness wherefore, this resolution has been duly approved by the officers and leaders of Fit for the Future and Black Diamonds on this day of July the 2nd, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Penniman. We appreciate you coming to us and giving us your heart, Fit for the Future and Black Diamonds, and your organization. Thank you so much for your time. It's a blessing. We look forward. The resolution you can give to Ms. Vicky.
Yes, we've sent it to you guys already digital, and we do have one more thing we want to add.
Sir.
We will have a march for the community immediately following this. This march will be a time for us as a whole to come together and to unify. And immediately following the march, we will have a call to action and a press conference in O'Neill Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
We did hear the rain come down, but we just believe that God was washing some things before the sun comes. So we still will be having the march if the weather holds up. So you all are welcome and invited to come and attend the march immediately following this city council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Penniman. Any other comments from, I apologize. Go ahead, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem.
I just wanted to express my appreciation for Brandon and his organization for stepping out and putting himself out there to advocate the way he has. He's always been a great advocate for the community as a whole. It's really important what you're doing. You know, the founding fathers said that the statement was to form a more perfect union. Think about those words, to form a more perfect union, because they always assumed it would be imperfect. And our goal is to better ourselves. And this is a perfect example of that. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. I hear the expression, all lives matter. I keep hearing that being said by a lot of people. And of course they do. but that's not the point. Somebody far smarter than me said, I made a comment, I said, it's like going to the doctor, you know, with a broken arm. And you show the doctor your broken arm, and the doctor says, well, all bones matter. That's not the point. Of course all bones matter, but the point is, this is the one that's broken right now. And this is the one that needs attention. And so there's issues in this country that we need to pay attention to. And I thank you very much for getting out there and advocating, because we need to pay attention. I think, you know, to poorly use the word, I think the country is becoming more woke right now than we have in quite some time. And let's take advantage of that opportunity. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. He's been listening to Jenna and Isaac, giving him some pointers. Any other comments from council members?
Yes, I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to Black Diamonds and Fit for the Future and all of you, and looks like more is red out here. I just want to say that I commend you for what you're doing, because you are our future. I see, Brandon, that you bring your daughter in a lot of things that you participate in and do, and I commend you for that. And I know Henry Forth, you do too. You have a toddler. And Zach, you don't have any kids yet, but I know that they'll be a part. So not only do I hear what you say, but I see what you do. So you do walk the walk and you talk the talk. And I just want to commend you to keep doing what you're doing, because you are our future. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Councilmember Danley. And I was going to save mine till last to say that I'm very proud of you and how you are stepping up and wanting to be involved in the community, and how you've continued to do that for at least, I want to say 10 years, but that would make you like 9 or something. But it's been a long time. 7 total, yes, sir, that you have collaborated with the fraternal and sorority organizations, the police department, just a whole host of many people. Mr. Branson in feeding the hungry, and our judges, and Judge Fortner was former DA, so we appreciate everything that you're doing and continue to make a difference in the community. Thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, I just want
yes,
to say
ma'am.
something else too. I did not want to admit Ms. Penniman over here, Brandon's wife, and Ms. Mitchell, and I know Zach soon, October. But I wanted to say, Brandon, to all of you, that you're not just active in the community, but you're also active in your church. And you're to be an associate pastor of a very pivotal church in Douglasville. That means that your standards have been raised to a whole nother level. So I just wanted to add that in there as well.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Danley. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? I do have a citizen here. His name is Joshua Skyers, and I'd ask you to come forward. He is a budding politician, I believe, political science student at Augusta State University, and I invited him to come to a council meeting. He wanted to shadow me. I told him I was one of those sensitive individuals with COVID because I have asthma, so I didn't want to expose him to that. But if you can just give us a little bit, talk to us a little bit about yourself, and tell me your experience at this council meeting.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, and Councilwoman. My name is Joshua Skyers. 8917 Linden Road, Douglasville, Georgia. That's where I live. I attend Augusta University in Augusta, Georgia, and I'm a political science major. I also minor in Spanish. I plan on going to law school after my 4 years at Augusta University, and maybe, hopefully, one day become a U.S. Senator, maybe.
Graduated from where?
Huh?
Which high school?
Oh, I graduated from Douglas County High School. I think y'all say, yeah.
Yeah, my husband was one of your teachers.
Yes, he was. But yes, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Yes, sir.
Also, thank you guys for letting me speak up here as well. And I hope to see y'all in other events as well, too. So
you have to put a plug in for your summer job.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I have to do that.
Yes, sir.
So.
Okay. So you work at is it Finish Line?
Yeah, it's Finish Line. I work at Finish Line at Arbor Place Mall. I'm a sneakerhead, obviously. You know, I have a lot of shoes, but, you know, good shoes, too. Yeah.
But I want to say that Mr. Skyers was, of course, his voice is so commanding for his young and thin frame. But my daughters and I went into Finish Line to get some sneakers, and that was our first time going in since the whole COVID-19. And I didn't really want to go to the mall, and that's exactly where Anna wanted to go and get some new shoes. And he took command of the entire place. He made certain that people stayed at the social distancing.
Right.
He had a counter outside of the door to how many people can come in, and you were very helpful. So you
I'm so
are.
glad that God made you come into finish line that day so I can be here today. So, thank you.
And we spent too much money. I told her I can't believe
you
those shoes need to walk and talk for over $100. But anyway, thank you so much for coming to the council meeting, and I'm excited. And of course, you did ask about an internship, and I told you that we had to put our interns on hold for this season because of COVID-19. But of course, apply again for next year when you come back from school.
Yeah, Emily
But we
was
wish you
also
the best.
talking about that too, so thank you for telling me all that.
Oh, you talked to Miss Emily. Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Scar. It's good to have you in the meeting this evening. So, any other comments from citizens and delegates? We have our commissioner, Henry Mitchell. And you don't look like that. You can't just come to a meeting and not say anything. Please just come and greet us, and then you just waving. Like church, you just gonna wave your hand? Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Mitchell, the work that you do for the community and representing us at the county and the Board of Commissioners. Any other comments?
Madam Mayor, with the march, can we at least have someone from the organization to state where you're going to meet, like immediately following, for those that may want to participate?
All right, so we're going to be meeting immediately following, right in front of the conference center. The march will be very short. We're going to go down to Campbellton, go south on Campbellton, take a right onto onto East Spring Street, and then come back up Price Street right into O'Neill Plaza. So we walked it earlier today. It's about a 7-minute walk or 7-minute march, and then immediately following the march, we'll have the call to action in O'Neill Plaza. So everything will be happening right after this meeting, right outside of this building. We'll start the march, and then we'll end right in O'Neill Plaza with a call to action and press conference.
And our chief of police will be participating, correct?
Yes, Chief Sparks will be participating and speaking on police and community relations. We're excited about that.
I apologize. I didn't mean to overlook. I think you all just came in and I didn't see Board of Education, our chair, Ms. Tracy Rooker-Shaw, and board member Devitron Caldwell. Do you all want to say anything? No? You're just here for support. Well, we acknowledge you and thank you. Many questions about the school starting back, but that's a whole nother topic about how you're going to do social distancing and how we'll deal with the school system coming back in August. So those are some of the faces that you can get to. They're very amenable, and they answer any questions that we might have about the school system. So any other comments from citizens and delegates? Yes, sir. Please come forward, give us your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to speak to us.
Good evening. My name is Fielder Roberts. I live in 3219 Blackley Old Road, Douglasville, Georgia. So also in Tributary, as you kind of got the feel earlier today. I just wanted to say something about the rezoning, the replatting that was on the table for tonight, at least for some discussion, because there wasn't a public comment for that. But I think, one, as a resident for Tributary, I thoroughly, applaud that. D.R. Horton is coming in, they're continuing to build newer homes. Would love the Emerald Collection, really would, but they're not going to bring that. It's okay. It's a different story. But the fact they're interested in replatting and bringing another, 50, 60 plus homes shows the potential for the area and the interest that people want to come in and buy property and develop those for either single family or multi-residential. So I think that speaks volumes to the area. In addition, across the street that's not in the city, but it's in the county, but it's right there. You have Palmer Falls is already rebuilding. You have other neighborhoods that are also building in the area. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Thank you. Not seeing any then, this meeting is adjourned.